Welcome to Garage Groove. Welcome to the shop. Welcome everybody to this new episode of Garage Groove. Thank you for joining us. Last time we took you on an excursion in Texas. We hope you enjoyed that. So we're back in the garage now, and as you can see from my outfit, it's a little chilly in here. You know, we're in the middle of January and it's pretty cold, but we got plans for this project, which we're going to be doing episode 2 on. This is our Yamaha XS400 project. We want to take this thing on a trip, and last episode we did the wiring on it. If you remember, the wiring was a mess. Most of it was missing, so we added a bunch of stuff to it. The fuse box, the regulator, the rectifier, all sorts of stuff we had to do. So that we got done, and then in conclusion, we ended up getting our spark. That was very important for us. So that's where we're at, and that's basically where we're picking off from. I have not worked on this bike since that episode at all. So we're going to be doing everything in front of the camera here. So the only thing we did receive, we did get some components for the bike. So we'll take a look at those. But like I said, it's pretty chilly in here. We got our little heater going. You can see the flame, and that's hooked to our propane tank, and that's the only heat we got in here. And but I guess you got to keep moving to stay warm. That's the only way to keep warm around here. You got to keep moving. So we're going to keep working, okay? We're going to start by taking a look at what we got here. So the first thing, this is going to go right there. Okay? This was a budget build. So that was this unit right here was $10. Okay? This was a box of stuff that came with the bike. This was some extras. This is everything we got. Now these are the clamp-ons. They're going to clamp right onto here. And we got ourselves a nice little, it's actually a big headlight. So it's going to go something like that. It looks pretty big, but that's good. We're going to need light. We're going to need some nice lights on this thing. Okay, so that's kind of how that's going to look. We got the bracket for it. Okay, and then this, I believe, is the little tail light. Yep. This is our cool little tail light, and it comes with, I think, a license plate bracket. Yep. Comes with the license plate bracket too. So that's going to go maybe something like that. Maybe taller, or maybe, nah, it's going to have to go like this. We'll have to figure that out. This right here, somebody cut pieces off of this. So we're going to have to add something to it structurally. We're going to have to weld something on there. What else did we get here? Oh yeah. These are our car boots. They're going to go right there. Okay. What else? Oh, and then we got a shifter, because this bike didn't come with the shifter. Shifter's right there. So that's good. And then the rest of this, oh no, we got some switches. Here's our key switch. This looks like a key switch you would have bought at a theme park at Disney or something, but that's okay. Here's our kill switch. You gotta have a kill switch up here. If the bike ever gets away from you or something, throttle sticks, you wanna have this thing here. I've had that happen before. You don't want... And then, this is our carb kit. Very important. We're gonna build these, we're gonna rebuild these carbs, and we wanna add as many new components as possible. So, that is our bag of goodies that we got. And that's what we're gonna have to do. Now, we're probably gonna start by taping. We have to protect this wire. You see all this empty stuff? We're gonna route, before we even route it, you see all of this? We're gonna wrap it, just like how it came in the factory. So we're gonna wrap it as much as possible, and then that's step one. And then we're gonna start feeding it through the bike and start tying it into places. And then we're gonna find out that we want certain things located somewhere, you know? So we might have to extend the wiring or do whatever we need to do. And I'm thinking we're gonna maybe add like a plate like this here, and then we can attach all our components to it. So it'll have two functions. The plate will kind of keep, it'll work as a back fender here, you know, keep stuff from coming in here, but we'll also attach some stuff. And then we want to keep some of this open because a lot of this stuff, like these things, they come with fins, you know, and they're supposed to be mounted so they stay cool. They get a lot of airflow on them. So that's another thing we're gonna have to keep in mind as we're mounting things. So I do see a plate or something getting mounted here, so we can mount all our electrical components to it. Then we're gonna probably build a little battery box here, and that again we're gonna have to determine how big of a battery we want to go with. Okay, I don't know how easy this bike's gonna be to kickstart, but we want to be able to fall back on the electric start if it becomes a problem. The other thing we're going to do is, I think we're going to add an accessories. Remember, we have a lot of points on this wire system that are live and we get 12 volts from. So we're going to utilize one of those, and we're going to add like a USB connect or something to there. So if we want to add like a tank mounted GPS or something, we can do that. We'll be able to plug it in and get our power. And then I don't want to use the phone. The phone's not weatherproof. We might have to get like a outdoor, like a sport type of a GPS system that's weatherproof, that maybe small unit that we can magnetically attach to the tank. So when we're going on this 1,000-mile trip and we get lost from our mothership, we have a way of finding ourselves back on route, you know. So I think that's something to keep in mind. We have a lot of live wires, 12-volt access points on this wire harness. We're going to utilize at least one of them for that. So let's get started. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, let's take a look, see what we've done here. So we have kind of eyeballed it. That's how I started. Kind of saw where everything should be relative to stuff. So I used, this is the headlight part. You know, it's got our key control. It's got our on-off switch. So I kind of use that as a gauge. Now, I don't know if this is exactly how they had it mapped from the factory. But yeah, I had it so the coils, the wires reach there reasonably. We have our dimmer piece, which is down, let me see here, it's kind of hard to see it. It's this unit right here. So, and that's plugged in here, under here. So that kind of fit. And then our CDI is kind of hanging. We're gonna have to figure out a place for that. Everything is up away from the motor. I might add another thing here. I've just added some zip ties right here. I don't know if they're permanent right now. We have a live wire we can get from there. And then all of this right here, it's really begging for a back plate, but most of it reaches this area. So that's good. It's really begging for something in here so we can mount, you know, like our fuse box, you know, can get, you know, maybe something like that. We can mount that there. Remember, we have to be able to access this stuff too. We can't just mount it and close it off. Otherwise, if we blow a fuse, it becomes a huge project. You know, we don't want to do that. So that's kind of where we're at. We're going to keep working. Our next step is to kind of focus on this back area right here so we can get things mounted. And then we'll continue routing more wire as we get that plate mounted. So let's do that, and then we'll see you in a second. Okay, so we are back, and we have we're trying to fill this gap right here. That area is begging for something. Now, remember, we're doing a budget build here. We don't want to lose sight of that, because the ultimate goal is to take this bike that we bought for $60 and do a budget build on it and document a 1,000-mile journey on the most economical way to have a good time, because people can use that kind of information. Hopefully it'll motivate them and stuff. So we don't want to lose sight of that. We've paid $60 for this, and we will go over at some point and mark down what we got into it. Some of this stuff, I mean, remember I said this thing is a funny looking, where's that key thing? It's kind of a funny looking key thing that I got, but we're trying to get decent parts, but we're kind of watching what we're spending on here, okay? Now, getting back to this area right here, I rooted around the house and I found a couple pieces of things that we can use. This right here is a TV stand. It's plastic, but fortunately this piece right here fits perfect in that area. Okay, normally what I would do is I'd get a piece of sheet metal, you know, maybe something like this, or even better, and like a diamond plate piece of steel. That looks really nice, and I would probably tack weld it in there, you know, paint it up really nice. And but you don't always have that stuff. And remember, we're keeping an eye on a budget build, so we're going to use this piece right here, because look how nice this fits in there. This fits. See that? Fits perfect in there. And all of our things are going to be put right in there. So a couple reasons we're going to use that piece. The biggest thing is I don't want to paint. You know, if I use this sheet metal right here, I'd have to paint it. And the way the temperatures are, I really don't want to paint nothing. I don't want a white backing plate in there. But that piece of plastic fits perfect in there. And we're going to organize all of our components on there. okay? But we don't want to lose sight of the fact that this is a budget build, and I want to motivate somebody to doing something like this, and you can do it, you know? You just find something cheap and put it together with whatever resources that you have and go have fun. You know, that's what this episode, this project is all about. Doing a budget build in a 400cc. It's a small bike. Smaller bikes are usually cheaper. And I want to see if we can get 1,000 miles out of it safely, you know? So that's what we're doing. I think probably the most expensive part of this build, it may be that GPS. But I don't know. We may even work around that. I have some older GPSs that still work. If I can weatherproof them, we'll get to that. We'll see what happens. But that's where we're at. So we're going to go ahead and mount that piece in there securely. It's not holding a lot of weight. It's not holding a lot of weight. So that's good. You know, and we'll be able to organize our pieces in there. I think the CDI, I'm going to tuck up underneath there. That's quite the critical component. So we'll tuck up, and then we'll address the battery box. We may build the box out of this. I don't know yet. I really don't want to use that because it's white, and I don't want to paint. You know, it's cold, and getting the paint to stick in these temperatures, it's very tough. And then you certainly can't open the door, you know, so you have to deal with the fumes, and I don't feel like doing all that. So we'll see. We'll get to that. Let's do one thing at a time. So right now we're gonna go ahead and organize all of our electrical components, and then we will see you in a minute. Okay, so we have organized a little bit more of this. See, we put that back plate on it. Now we got the regulator, the rectifier, and the fuse box all in there. It's starting to come together. We're not done yet though. We have to do more wrapping here. We got to wrap these, protect these wires. Maybe tuck some of these out of the way. Maybe we can zip tie a little bit more. We're gonna have to extend our tail light section, which is easy. We'll just cut it and splice it there. But that's nice and organized. That's the way we want it. and everything's tied in there nice. This needs to get air, and I think it will. So I think that's it. Now the next thing we're going to do is we got to find a good spot to tie the CDI. I'm not sure exactly where. It's going to be up top here somewhere, but it's got to be well hidden and protected. So let's go ahead and tape up some of these wires so they're not so exposed, and do a little bit more organization, and then we will come back. Okay, we're going to continue with this wiring. Remember, it's got to be tucked away nice, it's got to be organized, it's got to be protected, and it's got to be strategically placed. Okay, we got to keep a lot of stuff in mind here. We got to have our access points. We have to make sure things are out of the way, things are getting enough air, all of that stuff. So we're gonna keep moving on this, and then we'll check back in a little bit. We'll see you. Okay, so we're continuing our wiring process of this bike. Well, things are getting cleaned up though. Check it out. Okay, you know we added the plate, but what we did this round was we added some nice leads for the battery. We added a nice ground here, and then we got another ground that services the rest of the wire harness. We got a nice, we had a nice positive lead, so that's good. We've tucked everything away. We got the CDI boxes up underneath here. We got everything nice over here. We left ourselves enough space for a battery, although this may get, we may have to move that. We'll see. There's some space there. We can work with that if we need to. All of this is tied up nice. This is all out of the way. We got enough room for our carbs. So the next thing we're going to do, now remember, we still got to wrap these up a little bit. I'm not going to do that yet though. The next thing we want to do is we want to work on a small front dash. I think we need a little bit of a dash. I want it to come out and kind of up this way so we can have a place to put the key switch. And remember, we want to add a 12-volt accessory type of a USB or something so we can plug in our GPS. We want to be able to plug in a GPS. That's going to be important on this bike. The other thing I was also thinking about, we'll strategize it when we get to it, is we're going to want some sort of a rack. Okay, I don't want to carry a backpack for long distance, so it'll be nice to have a little a rack here in the back. Maybe we can create, you know, a loop like this, and then we can put kind of a little bit of a sides on it or something, so we can put a bag or something in there and bungee it down, you know, so maybe carry a couple tools, maybe something to drink, maybe a sandwich, you know, something along those lines. But we're going to want something like that. It would be nice to have something like that. So what we're going to do now, like I said, is we're going to concentrate on this dash. We're going to add a dash right here up underneath these mounts. Okay, now this is where you can become creative and save money. If you got stuff laying around, go ahead and use it. You know, this is not a show build. This is a project that we're trying to document how you can efficiently, economically get a bike and have fun with it, man. You don't need thousands of dollars to do this, you know. So what we're gonna do, if you remember that chain slider, remember this? We put that on the TL. We cut it up and we put it on the TL. I think this will come in handy, maybe, for a dash. You know, we can put a little dash like that on here. I think we got enough room. Yeah, we'll have enough room. We'll get rid of a washer or something if we have to. But we'll draw it out on here, and then we'll add the dash. We'll kind of heat it and bend it to whatever angle we need it. And then we'll add our key switch and all of that stuff onto it. So let's get doing that. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. So today is our second day working on our Yamaha XS400 project. Now remember, we've determined already what we got plans for this bike. We want to take it on a 1,000-mile cruise and back. Okay, and that's the whole project. That's the whole scope of this project that we're going after. Now, if that's not enough, we're doing it on a budget. So we're trying to stay within parameters. So we're going to put a list together of every single penny that we've put into this bike, because it's a nice motivational point to get people who think that, you know, it takes a lot of money to do this. I don't have a bike. It's going to cost thousands to get a bike. Not really. And that's kind of where I'm going with this. So let's take a look. Really quickly, let's recap what we have done so far. Now, originally I was thinking about just finishing everything in the second episode, but that's not going to happen. You know, we're missing some gaskets here as I started looking at the engine. This piece right here, see, it's missing a gasket. The other thing we're going to do, I don't know if I'm going to ultimately set up the starter, but this starter, it does work, okay? So we might as well hook it on, install it into the bike, whether we actually use it or not. Remember I said, I'd like to have this bike running so good that we don't even need the electric start, you know? It'd be nice if the thing just, see, I just hooked it up. We're gonna turn this on. So we got a good starter here. So that's one of the things we're going to do, is we're going to go ahead and install it. It's kind of cool. It's a chain driven. We got this little, look at this cute little sprocket. And then we got kind of a cute little chain. We're going to go ahead and hook that up to the motor and everything. Whether we actually wire it in, I don't know. But I'm waiting on gaskets. We're going to need a new gasket for this. I've ordered a whole gasket kit for 20 bucks. That's a great thing about this bike, man. Things are fairly cheap. You know, that's the other takeaway from this project. If anybody's thinking serious about doing something like this, pick a good model. Pick a Yamaha XS, a popular bike brand, Japanese preferably, so the parts are cheap and they're accessible and there's tons of them, you know? So that's something to keep in mind. We've ordered some other stuff. We got some cables coming, clutch and throttle. The clutch cable I bought it used for $3, $5 shipping, but it's in good shape. Let's recap what we've done, and we're gonna hold it here. Okay, so let's go over everything. So we set the wiring first. Remember in the first episode, we built the wiring harness. Here, the first thing we did is we installed everything. Okay, everything's pretty much in its position. We are gonna protect it and cover it. We're gonna put some stuff up and around these wires. I haven't got to that yet because I'm not completely done wiring things yet. So I want to leave things open for that. We've installed the wire harness. It's in its place, so that's good. We've built a dash, okay? And we're going to add, remember, a USB and some of that stuff here so we can run a GPS. That's going to be important. We got a nice headlight on this thing. We want a nice light. Let's turn that on for you. It's a nice bright light. And currently the way it's set up is as soon as you turn the key on, the headlights come on, which I guess it's not a bad thing. You can do it that way. Let's go ahead and, it's a really nice bright light. It's kind of cheap built though. Let's go ahead and turn that baby on. And then, see that? I don't think the camera really does justice as to how bright it is. Really nice bright light. And we're using, we're just going to be using the high beam setting. That's all we need is the high beam. I typically don't ride much at night. You know, if I get caught, that's one thing. But I usually plan it so I ride during the day, and it's better to have that on high beam so people notice you, you know, on the road. Okay, so we have done that. We've hooked up the dash. We've kind of got the headlight in place. I've changed the handlebar, as you can see. I've added a kill switch here. I've added that. We got somewhat of a throttle setup here we're going to be doing. Now on the next episode, I got a bunch of stuff coming. So we're going to be waiting on that. So I don't want to hold up this episode. I'll get this out there so you guys can get updated on where this is at. So we're going to go ahead and post this episode for you. On the next episode, episode number 3, the XS400 is going to get a lot of new parts, okay? We're going to be getting the cables. We're going to be getting the gaskets, the full engine gaskets. We're going to hook up the starter. We're going to hook up the stator. The stator is not even hooked up properly, but I think that's going to help our spark too. We're going to tuck some of this wiring in a little better. We're going to be adding our USB and all of that stuff. And the other problem I've kind of ran into is this gas tank does not fit, unfortunately. This channel back here is just not wide enough. That's about a 4-inch width on that. And if you can see the width on this one, that's substantial. You know, because the tank has to, it's got to clear all of this. So that channel is too narrow. It's not going to fit. And this one, the cap is locked, and I think there's rust on the inside. So I don't know. We'll have to see what we're going to do with that. That could be another cost. You know, we're trying to keep this thing on the low. If I can get the cap off of that one, maybe if I can get the cap off the original one easily, I have to find a replacement then, and I don't know. Sometimes you try to get a replacement cap, that somebody's going to want 40, 50 bucks for that. You might as well get another tank. I don't know. We'll see about that. We're going to be doing a lot more in the next episode. Now, the next episode, we're going to be looking for our first start. So hopefully on the next episode, we will finally get to hear this thing run. It's not going to be done. It may be done. We'll see. Okay. We'll definitely get to hear it run. We're going to do oil change. We're going to do all of that stuff on the next episode. So stay with us on all that. There's a lot coming up. And then, of course, the ride. When we finally take this out on the road and do our journey, you definitely want to come with us on that. I'm going to detail that. We're going to have some fun. We're going to stop at some places. And we're going to be basically sitting our ass on a little bike, 400 cc's, and it's going to take us 1,000 miles. Isn't that cool? We're going to stop at little places and just enjoy this thing, you know? So stay with us for that as well. We're going to wrap up this episode, and I'm just going to wait for the new parts to come in, and then we'll see you really soon. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for continuing to like and subscribe. Please keep doing that, and then we'll see you very soon. Take care. Have a good one.